Tell the story, Pop.
Well, I was coming to Asheville from Gastonia, coming up Interstate 40. And Interstate 40, right after the Old Fort, begins to rise very rapidly. And I was going about 55 miles an hour.
Is that good?
And I was just starting
Olive, if you're going to ask him to tell the story, you're going to have to close the computer and listen. Please.
I was just starting around the first big curve, and there's a big rock wall on the side of the road. And just as I started running out, a police car came around me really fast. And I wondered what was happening. And when I got around the curve, there was a car had pulled off. The first thing I noticed was a man lying on the side of the road. And he had an orange vest on. And he was lying on the side of the road like he'd been hit. And there was a car had stopped just beyond him, and there was a man running back towards him. And I thought that he was a highway worker, and he'd been hit by that car. And then the policeman pulled right in front of him and stopped. And then I went up and pulled in front of the policeman and stopped. So then I got out of the car and ran back to past the police car, and the policeman was still in the car. He was calling the emergency people. And I ran by him, and the other man had already gotten down to this man who was lying on the ground. When I got down there to the man who was lying on the ground, the man said, "Don't come down here." And I said, "I got to come down there. I'm a doctor. I've got to see what's wrong with him." And he said, "All right, well, but look out for the bear." And I looked down, and about 6 feet away from this man on the ground was this big black bear just sitting there on his haunches, looking like, "Hello."
I'm going to eat you.
No, he was just sitting there. And I couldn't put all this together in my mind. What in the world was going on? And then the man said something about this guy falling off this ledge. And I looked up, and this rock wall went up about 40 feet, straight up. And this man, he had on, it was summer, early spring, it was warm. He had on heavy dungarees, jeans pants, and jeans coat, and this orange thing. And he was lying on the ground unconscious. But I was sitting there looking at this guy, grizzly guy with a beard and all this stuff, and looking up at this rock wall, and all I could think of was Scene in Deliverance.
What is a Scene in Deliverance?
It's a movie. The Scene in Deliverance where they were looking up a rock wall, and he climbed up there to use his bow and arrow. But it's still that my mind was taken up with trying to evaluate this guy to see what his medical condition was. And I decided he was stable, and he was coming around, and his pulse was good, and he wasn't bleeding anywhere particularly. He didn't look like he'd broken anything. And the policeman had come down earlier, just shortly after I did, and the policeman said, "If that bear starts this way, I'll shoot him." I certainly hope you will. So, but shortly thereafter, an ambulance came, and the emergency crew came and all of that. So I got up and I left. I found out later that he had been bear hunting with his dog. And
Why was he wearing an orange thing?
Because the state law says you have to wear something so other hunters will know you're a hunter, not a deer or something, and shoot you.
Whoa. Bears know that hunters wear orange, so don't they run at the hunters and try to eat them when they see orange coming close?
It's a pitiful situation. This was about 100 yards from the town, and during the summer they feed these bears candy, big blocks of candy, and first it attracts them to their neighborhood. Second, it makes them fat and lazy, and the bear is no sport to it. The bear just comes into their backyard, they shoot him. But the man and the bear, the man had shot the bear, and the bear apparently charged him, and
didn't like it.
No, not a bit. And the man and the bear went over the mountain, side of the mountain. And the way I figured, the dog was the only one smart enough not to fall off the mountain.
Well, I thought you told me that the guy was said that he chased the bear.
No,
that he wounded the bear and he was chasing the bear and then he followed the bear off the cliff.
No, I have no idea what happened.
I followed the bear off the
bridge
because I
know he had shot the bear. And then the bear fell off. I have to think the bear came after him, and then they fell backwards over the cliff. But I learned this from a girl who lived in Old Fort, who told me what the final story was. They took him to the hospital here in Asheville, and he was okay. He just all bruised up from falling. Oh, the other thing was that when he fell, he dropped his rifle, and his rifle fired and bounced off the highway, and then hung up in a tree halfway down. And that's the story of the bear falling off the mountain. And the moral of the story is, dogs are smarter than bears or people.